Hi guys, this one goes to all the Zoes out there who wanted a video about graphing sine and cos curves. So here it is as requested. So the standard form in its entirety for any sine or cos curve is this here. So you should have this in your book for both sine and cos, along with what each of the letters actually stand for. So we know that A, letter out the front, stands for amplitude, so how high and low the graph goes. The period is found, so the standard period for any sine or cos curve in general is 2 pi. And if there is a coefficient of t, or n here, the period changes to being 2 pi divided by whatever n is. Okay, then in the brackets, along with the angle, we've got alpha here. So alpha translates left and right, or horizontally, I probably should have written, and then the extra coefficient on the end, or the constant term, b, just shifts vertically. And we know that the horizontal shift is the opposite to the sine, so if it's positive alpha, we'd shift in the left-hand direction. If it's negative alpha, we shift in the right hand, whereas the b just shifts up and down. And we'll do a couple of examples now to work through that. So what you should do at the start of each question is just write down all the information you have here. So graph the function. So we know that a is equal to 3. We know that the period, or p, is equal to 2 pi over, in this case it's a fraction, so over a half. So 2 pi divided by a half is 4 pi. We know it shifts to the right, so positive pi on 2 by pi on 2, and shifts up by 4. Okay, and this one we would graph, so we'll just get into it. So drawing that one out, so we'll go between pi on 2 to 4 pi was pi on 2, so that's 9 pi on 2, and that'll get us through a full revolution. So they'll often tell you which one it is there. Okay, so all you need to do is start off. Your starting point is at pi on 2, so I'd put that in there, pi over 2, and then it goes all the way through to, because you're doing it yourself, is 9 pi on 2, so that means there's 8 pi on 2 between. So between pi on 2 and 9 pi on 2 is 8 pi on 2, or 4 pi. So halfway between that is you'd add 4 pi on 2. So 4 pi on 2 plus pi on 2 is 5 pi on 2. Okay, so that's the halfway point there. And that'll help us because we know the sine curve is going to curve back up at that point, or hit the midpoint there. Alright, so now we know it's shifted up by 4, so we can, I might put that a bit lower actually, just so I can fit it all in. So 4, and we know that the amplitude is 3, which means the low point here, it's going to go down to 1, and the highest point is 4 plus 3, it's going to go up to 7. And we're starting at pi on 2. And it can actually help to do a little dotted line through, so you know that midpoint there. Right, so it goes up, reaches its peak, quarter of the way through at 7, then finishes at halfway through at 5 pi on 2, down to 1, and then finishes up at this point here. Alright, now it's roughly symmetrical from the top through to the bottom, so that works out well. Alright, So they're the steps you go through. So once you've found the amplitude, you can fill in the side parts. Probably the first part is you find the starting point and then find the end point using your range and your period, and then you find the halfway point so you can graph it accurately. Alright, so have a look at this second one. I'd like you to pause the video now and try and fill out what we need to know about this graph. Okay, so we know that A would be equal to 2, because we got this value here. We got the period is equal to, also n is equal to 2 here, so that's 2 pi over 2, which is equal to pi, so it completes a full cycle after pi. We know shift pi on 3 left, so the starting point is at negative pi on 3, and we shift down negative 3. Okay, so drawing this one out quickly, we're shifting down, so I'll just draw this one a bit higher. Probably should have. So that's t, that's y. Okay, so we know our starting point is at negative 3. It's an amplitude of 2, so the lowest it's going to get is negative 5, and the highest it's going to get is negative 2 plus 2, which is negative 1. Okay. We also know that we're starting, so we need to go a bit further this way, starting at negative pi on 3, and we're going to finish at 2 pi on 3, okay, which completes a full cycle. So 2 pi on 3 actually moves a whole difference between negative pi on 3 and 2 pi on 3 is 1 pi. So draw 2 pi on 3 here. Remember, keeping in scale, if that's pi on 3, then 0, pi on 3, 2 pi on 3. Okay, so the halfway point between negative pi on 3 and 2 pi on 3, you'd take away a half of pi, which would actually get you to halfway between pi on 3 and 0 is pi on 6. So we know that it's going to reach its bottom because a cos curve starts high and finishes low. The other thing, that you need to know is that this is a cos curve. So rather than starting at the midpoint, we're actually starting at the top, at its peak. So we start at negative pi on 3, and we're dipping down, and we know that the base is going to be at pi on 6, and then from there, just reflects about the midpoint here, and we're finishing at 2 pi on 3. Okay, so the amplitude let us know that it's going to get down to negative 5, and the range and period, or the domain and period, let us know we're going to start at negative pi on 3 and finish at 2 pi on 3 to complete a full curve cycle. Good luck, guys.